it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Late Late Horror Show. I am Dino, and that is Kelsey. Hey, Kelsey.
Hey guys, long time. Happy to be back.
Oh my God, yeah. What a couple months here it's been. But hey, glad to have you here, and we are back at it. We are doing something. Me and Ted just did a review, Hammer Horror. But we are here to talk about Teeth
Yes.
from 2007. Yeah, you're like, yeah. Little body horror, so I get it. And but man, this is deep. But anyways, written and directed by Mitchell Lichtenstein. Is that his name?
That sounds right.
Yeah. But he's from the Cleveland, Ohio area where we're at here.
Oh, wow, I didn't even know that actually.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I think this is kind of the. I mean, he's still doing stuff, but I think this is kind of the biggest thing he did. He was a waiter in Cheers. I know that much for a brief episode. But anyways, also stars Jess Weixler, who's a cutie, and who else? I don't need to say anybody else because of all these people.
Appleman. I'm a huge fan of the show The Magicians on Sci-Fi.
Right.
He is absolutely amazing in there. And so I first saw this when it came out like 13 years ago, and I wasn't really familiar with him then. So I appreciated him in the film, but I didn't pay any close attention. And then later, when I became a fan of his work, I was like, wait, that was him in Teeth? So it's interesting. It's very... we can get into that more later, but very different characters, so it was kind of interesting for me to see him play such a different character. But yes, Hale Appleman is noteworthy, but I will let you continue from there.
Yeah, no. I get it, and yeah, he is in that show. He is a man. He's rotten in this movie, though, right? But again, this is I don't even know what to say. As a man, I'm not.
One reason, I loved this movie when I saw it, and it had been a while, so I was like, you know what, that would be like a good one to revisit. But one reason I picked this film was because I know usually the male and female perspective on this movie can be very different.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it would be a little interesting to get the two perspectives. So.
Yeah,
So
well,
what's your thoughts?
Well, thank you very much, Kelsey, for doing that to me. No, I mean, it seems like as a man, you come off after watching this movie very not guilty, because if you're a good man, you're not going to feel guilty, but it makes you think, and it makes you go, it's written and directed by a man. So if it was written and directed by a woman, I think it would be 100% different in my head. I would be thinking, boy, what did she go through that there's so much hate towards men? Because there's that out there. But even from a man's perspective, I can see the point they're trying to get across. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on out there that, from the gynecologist to just boyfriends in general, and just how the taking advantage of a situation, being alone with a girl and stuff like that, and I understand that part. Still made me feel uneasy. I understand the point, but overall it makes the film seem like, man, men are just evil beings, and you know what, the human species is evil anyways, but the movie really rubs that kind of point of view in your face. And not that, it kept me enthralled, the whole idea of her. This is a viewer discretion is advised. When you get the teeth in the vagina dentata, the mythology of it, that she looks into afterward. And I'm going to let Kelsey talk on, so I'm spurting out everything I got to say first here real quick, because I'm excited to hear what she's got to say about it. But she does dig into the lore, and I think if there was a little bit more of a spin towards like species evolving into, and it's kind of that too, evolving to where if she has the choice to take care of the situation and cut off the man's with the teeth because it's not working out right, and this guy's going to take. I understand that part. That part would have been cool. Almost towards like the end of the movie. I'm not going to give it away until you get to speak too, but almost kind of a superhuman, a superhero kind of aspect to it. Kind of a disturbing one. Okay.
Yeah,
but,
like it could be avenging the rapists of the world and making the world a better place.
yes. I can see that. So if the storyline was like twisted a bit more in kind of a disturbed, dark superhero or super villain. I don't know what you would even call her. I guess a superhero, but you know, that's kind of my take, Kelsey. I mean, like I said, as a man, I'm kind of thrown back, but I get it. You know.
Yeah.
Hell, I've got a daughter, so if anything like that ever, you know, I look at that kind of perspective and I go, you know, the evil that is out there, and just the steps you got to do to be careful with everything that you go through in life so that nothing like that happens. I'm not going to get real deep, but let me throw it over to you. And so what do you got to say about this fantastic, and I did enjoy it.
I mean, a lot of things about this film automatically appeal to me because I'm a big fan of the rape revenge genre. A lot of people feel it's exploitative. I very, like, occasionally films are, but I very rarely feel like that. I feel like sexual assault of any kind is one of the, like, most vile things one human can do to another human. So I think it makes sense to kind of focus on that and explore it through the horror genre. And usually it's actually to show just how horrible and degrading, and almost more also even from, you know, the person doing this, like much like a serial killer, like how usually it's very like focused on power, hunger, you know, almost more than sexuality, and what that says about them as a person. So I mean, there's a lot between gender roles and sexuality and just the mentality that you have to do that, and what it does to you if something like that is done to you. But usually they're about finding your strength, you know, to kind of almost like the Phoenix effect of being burned and rising from the ashes stronger. So I've always loved it as a genre. So it's obviously a lot of that. I love body horror, and this is obviously that. I love things that dig into mythology. We have that. And I like that the mythology, like how they kind of go into it a little bit without like focusing on it too much, but they that it was, you know, myths created by men who wanted to paint women as inherently wicked, to say it's kind of similar to like the Medusa thing, you know, like really she's a victim, but they portrayed her as a monster to you know, kind of warn against like stay in your place sort of a thing. So, and I love coming of age films, and this is a lot of that too. So, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things that I love. First,
everything you love, yeah, I get it.
Yes, it's everything I love. But I also like really love horror that dives into, you know, themes and questioning. And this one, probably the biggest themes here are kind of like the fear of one's own femininity. Of course, like, yes, men are not very well portrayed in this movie, I will give you that, but it also dives into fear of sex, period. You know, she's very, you know, abstinent and, you know, very, very proud of that. Not, obviously, it seems to tap into religious reasons, but also there's definitely a certain fear of it. And then when, of course, as this body horror element escalates, what it becomes is, you know, something that she couldn't even imagine, that much more horrific.
Yeah, it seemed almost like kind of a Carrie thing going on, but
yeah,
in a way, just because you mentioned it, I mean, I was kind of perplexed with her innocence with the whole thing, because she wasn't this kind of Christian kind of purity, you know, staying a virgin, you know, thing until you're married and all that, where she's got a mother who's sick. You know, I don't know how much that affected the way she acted, because they didn't really dive into that you don't even know what the mother's sick with. But the brother himself, who is technically a stepbrother, you know, is somebody who is very, you know, he's just a pig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He treats women like dogs and everything else. And I didn't understand how she during all that family crisis and everything going on, maintained this like innocent aspect or kind of thing to her character. I don't know what you thought about that, but that kind of perplexed me a little bit.
I not really. I mean, I don't think she cared for the brother very much.
No.
I mean, I think it's just she was a person with her beliefs, and yeah, her mom was going through something very difficult, and that was hard for her. But also, if you're usually people with faith will just be like, oh, it'll, they believe that things will be resolved, and just they just focus on that much more hardcore when going through something difficult. But yeah, I didn't actually I think it possibly, like, if she was, I don't know, maybe slightly less innocent, I guess, or slightly less pure, that there could be some interesting things done there too. But I actually really loved her combination, because when this all escalates and she realizes this sort of instinctual animal within, and she's of course initially horrified, but that especially the actress did a phenomenal job, and it was that kind of mix of bewilderment, innocence, purity, ferociousness, and fighting back. That was just wonderful to see the array of emotions and just everything she was going through. And I think that's a big part of where the kind of sort of self-awakening, sexual awakening, it's almost like a mystery and a monster within herself, but then rather than seeing it as a curse, she ultimately embraces it. So I will say one thing I really loved about how they handled it is I like that it's just this primal thing. It's not even like, oh, you wronged me, oh, I'm getting revenge. I mean, it kind of is, but it's more it's just this instinctual reaction of her body. I think almost she barely even has time to process it or think. And it's just, I like the simplicity of that, where it's if you wrong her, it's even igniting her anger or hurts or hate in any way, then you will pay. So there's a certain nice simplicity. If you're a good person, you got nothing to worry about, and I they definitely heavily, there are a lot of guys who just portrayed in this movie that consent is optional, and
well,
even Toby, who sort of the main romantic interest, it's almost, it's kind of this flicker of he almost wants to be a better person, or you think it's almost there, but then this primal lust kind of comes up in him, and he crosses that line, because
Toby is
a girl screaming at you no, and you have no hesitation, that crosses you into the line of not being a decent person. But
he had a look on his face during most of this film there was a little something wrong with him. Am I wrong? I mean, I don't know if that was just the acting or just they were trying to emphasize the love interest and two virgins coming together. Whether Toby was a virgin or not, I have no idea. But forcing himself on her, in the cave.
I think there was maybe in his reactions, I think they were trying to portray it as pent up lust, or trying to be good, but that I don't know, primal urge part in you kind of taking over. I will say there are some over the top moments for sure, and so there is definitely suspension of disbelief needed for this film. But I thought the tone helps that, because it's kind of this nice mix of serious, exploring these kind of big issues, and being grisly, like the scenes with gore, nothing is held back, they get right in there, but it kind of made it almost, I mean, I say this as a female, so I can understand some of those scenes might not have been fun for a male, but for me, it was kind of a good mix of serious and kind of tongue-in-cheek, over-the-top gory sort of. So I feel the tones, so where the suspension of disbelief is needed, I feel it kind of made it a little easier, rather than if it was just 100% serious tone,
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a horror comedy. I mean, so that, it is in that genre, but definitely a lot of over-the-top stuff. Even the it's Toby. It's Ryan a little bit later, which, again, he's a character who befriends her through the Christian, group meetings for purity or whatever. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. But anyways, he even drops her off and shows his thing, in the car, just whips it out and expects, hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just like going, that's the first thing you're going to do. So it's like the disbelief thing. It's like, that's not something that you normally do.
Yeah.
When you're interested in a girl and you want, to at least get to know her, but,
Yeah.
even then later on when she goes to see him after everything starts going down and, you think things are going to work out between them two, although I seen it coming with the pill to get her. Am I giving too much away? Is this spoiler? I guess it can be. It's 2007, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can be vague about a few things, but I think people get the point. It's a revenge body horror film. There's a lot of people who do her wrong and pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, even Ryan is just, that scene and what goes on there is just, that's even more crazy and wild than the Toby, I think. Because of the relationship that she thought, and then it's when she realizes that, hey, I can do something about this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of interesting and I'm not going to say a cool part of the movie because it's out there. But and then the gynecologist scene, man, the minute she got on that table,
yeah.
She and his look and the way he talked, and it was so perverted, and I'm like, get the heck out of there. But she was so pure and innocent, she didn't know any better. But yeah, I mean, those three right there, those chops, and then at the very end with her stepbrother and the dog. But yeah, no, there was some scenes in there, right?
Yeah, and to your point, even when I first saw this, I pretty much felt the same way. Like, I love a lot about this film, but it is a flawed film. I will definitely say that. And I think the biggest flaw was one thing you were saying, that, it comes off as maybe a little too, I don't want to say just anti-men, but like if they had, there really isn't one male character who you're like, okay, yeah, that's like, everyday decent guy. Like, really the only person you could even say that at all would be her stepfather or one of her boyfriends who's like barely even a character who's gone into it all. But pretty much, like again and again, you think, oh, maybe this is a decent guy, and it'd be like, nope, actually no, he doesn't require consent apparently.
Nope.
So I do think, I think it's a really strong, fierce, one-sided look and a response to things like rape culture, that kind of takes that power back. So I love it for that. But I will say, I think if it had a little bit more, whether it be realistic characters or even just one decent character who was a man, I think it paints this picture of these just absolutely atrocious men again and again that are coming after her so ferociously. It adds a little lack of realism. There are for sure people like that, but usually it's not every single person you come across.
Right.
So I think that actually does work against it a little bit. I think it would actually be a little more powerful if it had a little bit less of that, or like I said, one decent character, or at least not as many people actively going after her and not rape attempt after rape attempt,
Oh yeah.
So I think that does hold it back a little bit. But so it's not a balanced view, but for this one point of view that it shows, kind of the victimization of what many people do go through, and trying to counter that to say, oh, you can be fierce, you have the strength within you. I like the metaphor of it, and I like just all the things that it touches on between gender issues and sexuality. And I absolutely agree that I don't even think sexual abuse is necessarily a female alone issue. Really, abuse has no gender. So
No,
honestly,
no.
you see it more with women, but like I wouldn't. Obviously, that'd be a very different film. So I understand it's about, you know, she's fighting back through this dentata. So it's not possible to really showcase the male perspective of that, but at least to have an ally if you're not going to have another man who's like a victim, you know?
Yeah, no, I get that. I get it 100%. They were. It's funny that this film is from 2007, and we're kind of in the middle of this whole gender culture and
Yeah.
you know, women empowerment and stuff like that. So we're kind of in that era right now where all of that is being brought to the forefront. You know what I mean? So you know, this is almost, well, this is 17 years ago. Jeez.
13, yeah.
13.
But
Wait,
still,
wait,
I
2000.
mean,
Oh, what am I talking about? 17. Okay, go ahead.
you're like,
I know math.
You're like, aren't we past these early 2020 days?
No, but yeah, no, and then there was the issue of I'm just throwing out a couple things. Like they kept showing the what was it, the nuclear power plant behind the house, whether that had something to do with her deformity and the teeth, and
I think it was supposed to. Yeah, I think that was supposed to be like the origin of it. But yeah, it's something that she always had in her, which honestly could have added to why she was so like intense about, like, you know, not being sexual. There was like, she was a little bit afraid of her own womanhood and what was inside her, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
She needed somebody to talk to, you know?
Yeah.
I think there was nobody there. She saw everything going on with her brother. Her mother was sick, and the stepfather just was not there for her most of the time. But that's if you want to get deep, you know, in the movie. But and then getting really all the way towards the end, like I said, the superhuman or superhero type part where she gets in the car with an old man.
Oh yeah.
Who was, oh my God, creepy as. Oh God, creepy.
Yeah, I get it. It's a little over the top with like guy after guy, but like.
I like that in a horror film where she, you know, she turns, you know, to the camera, looks at it, and you see in her face that, hey, this is where the future's taking her. She's going to, you know, she has the power now, and if somebody crosses her the wrong way, she's going. I mean, because she could have got out of that car, right? I mean, you know, but she stayed in there. It seems, and she's going.
No, she's definitely gone full like vigilante with it, revenge.
Yeah,
like she's like, all right, test me, boys, see what you get.
Right. Yeah. So that's what's going on, man. But I don't know if there's any more you want to talk about with the film, but I mean, overall, you know, I'd say I enjoyed the movie, even though I was kind of like, whoa. It at least kept me watching and going, okay, you know, this isn't bad for a horror comedy. So, you know, but out of 10, maybe if I'm scoring this or so, I'd still give it about a 5 out of 10. You know, it was watchable, but you know, I guess as a man, I probably got, you know, a little different, you know, view on it. But
so if you like rated it lower from like based on that male perspective, do you think it's more because it was kind of flawed and one-sided, or was it because those like gory castration scenes, like was that like too much that like rub you the wrong way, or was it just the overall viewpoint?
I think it was the overall viewpoint. I don't think it was, and I wasn't offended by no means. I know this stuff goes on. So the point he was trying to get across or whatever, it was over the top, and I get it. And you need that kind of storyline sometimes with a horror comedy. So it worked for me. It was okay. That gory part, you know, which, you know, with biting off the penis, whatever, it didn't disturb me. It was okay. I didn't get disgusted by it. You know, if you're into body horror and stuff like that, you're not going to get sick over this kind of stuff. But no, it was just, you know, the little flaws in there, and the fact that it was over the top, and they could have taken it in a different direction. But no, that's the only reason why. But
okay, yeah.
How about you?
I think that's pretty valid. I know some people are just like, those scenes are too much, and they're like, oh no, fuck this movie, I can't. So I was just curious if it was like, I understand, like even even like me really loving revenge and fierce female, you know, sort of and horror films that kind of tackle social and gender issues and sexuality, and just like, you know, I like my horror with depth and to explore darkness in our world and humanity, you know.
Right.
So even someone who loves all those things, I can even be like, yeah, they went a little hardcore on the like man hating every man is a total scum of the earth who's trying to rape me, you know, sort of angle. But I get, like, also, you know, horror is a lot of time metaphorical, and you use it, you know, you take things that you see in the world or humanity and you kind of push it to an extreme to really showcase and explore what, you know, this capability is. So I also get it's not necessarily like, probably the filmmakers don't think literally every person is you know, approaching people like this every day. So I get that, but I do think in some ways if they showed more than one perspective, I think even with the sexuality too, because sexuality is portrayed in a pretty negative light, which I get rape is not the same as sex, so I'm not saying that.
Right.
And how afraid of it that she is. And really the only other person that we see that's sexual at all is the stepbrother's girlfriend, and she is basically treated like trash, and she is portrayed as having low standards and just kind of sticking around because this guy wants her for sex. So I think it even could have been stronger if they showed like one person who has like, you know, who's female and is strong and could be sexual, and that doesn't make her, you know, weak or evil or something like that, you know. So there's a few things I really love everything that they tackle. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's, you know, kind of empowering and gory, and I love how they linger a lot, like on the uncomfortable moments. But I think especially with some of the characters and the overall perspective, if it was more balanced, it would be a more enlightened film and would probably be just a phenomenal film if those things were there. As is, I still really love it, but it's a little flawed.
Okay. Out of 10, what would you give it?
It's hard because I know it's flawed, but I love some things about it so much.
No, you give me a,
I'd probably say like 7.5.
Really?
I kind of want to give it an 8, but I'm like, I have to admit the flaws.
Yikes. Okay. No.
So like 7.5, I'm pretty comfortable with.
Okay. No.
And after 13 years, like I said, because I felt the same way when I watched it. I'm like, oh yes, I love so much about this. And I'm like, but they did go a little hardcore with this. This isn't as enlightened or balanced as it could be. And watching it again, I felt exactly the same way.
I don't even think wait, what is this? Is this rated R or rated PG? I'm trying to.
I should hope it's rated R.
Yeah, it's rated R. Well,
they don't shy away from the gore, or
no,
I guess it could be PG-13, but there's like a lot of up in there castration.
No, right. Like I was going to mention really quick, like one of the things with movies like this, and again, it's up to parents to let kids watch what they watch, but we know in this day and age, any kid can have access to any movie they want, and you know, to have a younger kid or a girl just coming into this kind of, you know, preteen kind of, you know, moment in her life, and she watches this movie for the first time, you know, if we're going deep and thinking deep on, you know, what this movie and how this movie can affect, you know, kids or teens or whatever, going through the same kind of process, and they see, oh my God, every man is bad, and oh my God, look at what's going on. You would hope they understand this is horror, and but that's not the way life is. So, you know, people see things and they almost kind of transfer it as, you know, this is kind of how life is sometimes. So I guess maybe that's why it dropped a few notches for me. You know, it's because it's a deep subject, you know, but one I think adults can look at as a horror comedy and kind of enjoy if you like that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Like, if they had a little, maybe just a few less, like I could see maybe one or two characters, especially like, I don't know, I guess with her being a virgin, you know, some guys are like, ooh, I want to be the first, you know, so maybe there would be a few more people going after her aggressively like that. But like, like the gynecologist, like, I mean, he's that was a little bit more far-fetched, I think. Not that there probably aren't some male gynecologists who take advantage, but I think it's probably not going to be his immediate go-to. Like, ooh, like here I am at my office. Let's sexual assault this woman.
Yeah, that was.
Didn't really know anything about her. But yeah, like I said, I think it's like it's a one-sided perspective of, and I think it's also a big part of it's trying to tackle like the counter of rape culture, and you see so many rapists being caught, you know, and being this like not getting any jail time or very little or a slap on the wrist, or you know, for so many it just goes. It goes unpunished, or the victim is put through more, you know.
Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who don't really believe in like the severity of it. So I think in a lot of ways this film is kind of a response to that, and you know, rape revenge too. So it's like, it's not, again, you can't, if we were to take every you know, horror film or revenge film literally, like I love rape revenge films, I love revenge films, I love a lot of things in horror films. I don't believe killing people or you know, murdering them, or you know, a lot of this stuff. So some of it's almost just like a cathartic kind of representation, almost, I think, of almost where you have to put your spirit. If something horrible like that happens to you, you have to find your strength in your fight, and what was tried to be made, you know, a curse, or what tried to victimize you, you have to kind of like fight through it and find a strength that counters it, you know, and kind of turns the tables. And I do like how, you know, it's like when she loses her voice, the teeth take over. So it's like, okay, we got this.
That's a perfect way to end it. That's awesome. Hey, we try to keep it short, but you know, this
sometimes
is kind of,
we get complicated films we have a lot of opinions about. So
yeah. Oh, and you know, on this channel, when we talk about a movie, we try to keep it short, but it always goes longer and longer and longer. But we're trying. So
there's a lot of layers with this one, and a lot of things it addresses, and then different.
Oh, yeah.
I can see, and then obviously like the different opinions, you know, between our two perspectives, but also a lot of similarities. So yeah, a lot to touch on. But yeah, if you like kind of bloody fun coming of age rape revenge body horror, and you haven't seen this, I think it's worth a watch.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Highly rated from Kelsey, so there you go, right there.
And medium rated over here.
And medium rated over here. No, it's watchable. But anyways, there you go. I mean, you know, sorry it's been so long since we got anything, but man, it's been a couple months here of you know, just a lot of stuff going on. So and we got stuff up our sleeves for the future too. More reviews coming, like always. Me and Ted. We got the old time radio shows, which are doing fantastic. We doubled our subs in like 2 months for over 5 years. It's amazing. So appreciate all of you guys. Check out the link below to Kelsey's website, where you know, she does modeling, and there's all a bunch of other information on there, photo shoots, stuff like that. So you could check that out too. It's down there in the description, and everything else. Read it all. There's a join button now for our channel, so check that out. And I don't know if there's any last words, Kelsey.
No, thanks for joining us, and we're happy to be back and diving into gruesome horror with you guys. So stay tuned for more.
Yep, and we will be back live here eventually, coming soon. Same with me and Ted. But yeah, there we go. Another one in the books. And until next time, you guys, take care and peace.
Awesome. Bye.